Good morning. Welcome to Friday Chapel. And welcome to all the previous students and families and friends. So let's welcome them. We are in the midst of focusing our value of local engagement this week, and all of our morning chapels have been focused on something related to local engagement, and today is no exception. And so before I throw to a video and then we hear from today's speaker, a couple of announcements. I want to let you know that our Gospel Sing celebration is tomorrow night here in the Felix Event Center. Doors open at 5:30. Program begins at 6. Encourage you to come out and to be a part of celebrating Gospel Sing. Also want to let you know that we are starting chapel band auditions for next year for leaders, for instrumentalists, for vocalists, and there should be a slide going up here right now that has some info. There we go. Come and consider auditioning and being part of chapel band next year. And you can go on the forms there on the website, apu.edu/chapel/forms to sign up for that. And then one other thing, our first ever, at least since I've been here the last 8 years, our first ever academic chapel will be Monday. And so we'll be having chapel according to what school your major is housed in. And you can see the locations up there. And so Monday morning chapel will be normal time, but you will go into where your major is housed in. If you are an undeclared major, I encourage you to use that as an opportunity to check out one of the schools. Maybe you're thinking about journalism, or maybe you're thinking about theology, or maybe you're thinking about music, and encourage you to go to what might be of interest to you. This morning we are excited to have our acting dean of our School of Theology share with us. He is an expert in Second Temple Judaism and the Dead Sea Scrolls and in Old Testament. He has his Ph.D. from UCLA, and he will be sharing with us this morning a little bit about his involvement in the foster care system as an advocate. And so check out this video, and then we'll welcome Dr. Bobby Duke.
Every morning, while everyone is sleeping, I brew my cup of coffee and I delve into the Word of God to be better prepared for the decisions I have to make that day. This morning was about servant leadership. In Mark chapter 9, verse 33 through 35, Jesus says, "Anyone who wants to be the first must be the very last and the servant of all." So I go to work this morning with the mindset, how am I going to serve my leaders? How am I going to serve my guests? My name is Carlos Mayen. I'm originally from Guatemala. I am blessed with a beautiful wife. Her name is Carolina Cruz. And we're blessed to have two precious daughters, Camila and Carissa. At an early age, my mother and my dad would tell me that I had a desire to be a business person because I wanted money. But they told me several times that money is something that can be taken away easily, whereas an education is something that nobody can take away from you. So I came to the United States to pursue higher education, and I ended up getting a master's in agricultural economics, and I loved it. Continued through with a Ph.D. in economics. I am a Chick-fil-A operator. I'm a franchisee. I manage this restaurant. Charlie, good morning. How are you today?
I'm good, how are you?
Having your good breakfast. We'll have fun today, okay? But stay hydrated. I have a favorite item at Chick-fil-A. I love my spicy deluxe chicken sandwich. I think this is what we're going to be eating in heaven when we go there. My competitive advantage for this business is my people. Good morning, Miss Luz. ¿Cómo le va?
Hola,
Buenos días. Gusto verla, gusto verla. Dalmin Nayeli. ¿Cómo le va? Carlito, ¿cómo estás? Boom, gusto verte. Without my staff, this would just be a building, set of walls. My team members, they are the ones who are bring the energy, bring the passion to this place. It's going to be a busy day for us today and tomorrow. Yep. What do you think? How's everyone feeling today?
I think everybody's great. Everybody's great. I think we've had like positive energy, so.
All right. Well, let's make sure we get some coffee.
Yeah.
A lot of it. I just want to say that I'm so thankful that you work for us.
Thank you for the
Absolutely.
opportunity too, Carlos.
Boom. I certainly feel a lot of responsibility for my team members. My responsibility is to have a positive influence in their lives, to add value to their lives. Okay, perfecto, perfecto. Excelente, mi man. Perfect. So everything that I do is how can I make them better? How can I grow them? How can I show them the love of Christ as well? Miss Luz, gracias hoy por todo, por los limoncitos que me está.
Hey, Chick-fil-A, is everybody happy?
Yeah, man. H-A-P-P-Y. Woo! All right. Good job, guys. Thank you. Amazing. We're ready for a big day. Ready for a big day. The word restaurant comes from the Latin restaurare, which means to restore. So every restaurant is a place of restoration. But it happens that a lot of restaurants are not fulfilling their purpose of restoring people. You know, what's expected of you in a restaurant is to be clean, fast, to have craveable food, and to have attentive and courteous employees. We try to go above and beyond your basic expectations. All right. We may refresh your drink, we may remove a tray from your table. We call it the second mile service. We serve about 2,500 guests a day, and I get to love on them. Be glad to help you. Are you coming here for somebody's graduation?
Yeah, this is
Nice. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Exciting. So what does the future hold for you?
Not official yet, but it's looking like Bangkok, Thailand.
Wow. We'll bring everything to your table, okay? Gary, congratulations. My pleasure. The Bible tells us that we need to love our neighbors. How may I serve you? We need to practice hospitality. We need to invite strangers into our house, give them something to eat, give them something to drink. I mean, we could be serving angels. People ask me, how do you match your spiritual beliefs, you believe in God, in business? Well, there should be no divide. I mean, you're one person, you're whole, you have to be real. So if I'm a believer, whatever I do, in any environment, in any scenario, you have to be the same. Honoring God, loving your neighbor, loving Jesus. Well, blessings wherever you go. Have fun, send us pictures.
Cool.
Boom. Come back. Absolutely. Thank you, guys. Overall, I know that I'm here to glorify God, and the Word asks us to become doers of His Word. So I'm a doer of His Word. And I believe that God has given me this opportunity, and in my case, restoring, refreshing guests that come to Chick-fil-A. Good afternoon. How may I serve you today?
There we go. Well, good morning, Azusa Pacific University. Good morning to all of the parents and families that are visiting with us. My name is Bobby Duke. I'm the Interim Dean of the School of Theology. And I'm going to slowly, over the next minute, walk from that role to my role as a Hebrew professor to my role as a foster father. So that video that you just saw was one little clip from a video series that is based on the book The Divine Conspiracy Continued. Our own faculty member here at APU, Gary Black, who wrote that book, some of you have had Gary in class, wrote that book in partnership with Dallas Willard, and they then spun off the video series, of which they have 2 episodes so far, and the whole video series is focused on how all of us, in whatever profession, music, art, nursing, education, business, can change our world and can make a difference in our local environment. So knowing I was speaking today during the Local Engagement Week, I thought, what a prime opportunity to be one of the first public showings of that little clip of our local Chick-fil-A. And now you know a little bit more about even the passion of the owner of that restaurant, who sees his role as being a servant leader. So think about all of you in the School of Business. I want you to go out and make lots of money, but I want you to do that with a passion to serve others and to see how that money can be used for the glory of God. A couple quick transitions now to Hebrew. as I was singing that last song, "Here I Raise My Ebenezer." How many of you sang that and had no idea what you were saying? Let's be honest. It's actually coming from a Hebrew phrase, Even Ezra, the stone of help. It comes out of the book of Samuel. And my Hebrew students know it's a word pair. We can go on and on about the grammar there. But it really is about a foundation of help. God is the one who gives us that strong foundation that will help us through life. But then the song a couple before that said, "I see a generation rising up to take our place." That's one of my passions about being here at Azusa Pacific University in a higher ed setting, is seeing each one of you as someone that's going to use your degree, use your knowledge to change the world. You're going to be that generation that's rising up to take my place as I age. And what do I mean by aging? Well, this is my 10th year here at APU. My first few years at APU, whenever I would come to chapel, someone would actually try to hand me a chapel card as I was walking in. About 3 years ago, I came into chapel, and they didn't even think twice about not handing me a chapel card. Somehow I crossed a line somewhere, and now I don't look young anymore. So I guess it's time for a new generation to take our place. Also, my first few years here at APU, it was not uncommon for someone during class halfway through to make some joke about, you remind me of my older brother. 2-3 years ago, you remind me of my uncle. That hurts. I mean, it puts you in your place of where you are at. Transitioning to foster parenting. When Tim contacted me about sharing our story as a family with the foster care world, I could think of nothing more I'd want to share. Dead Sea Scrolls, interesting. Hebrew, interesting. Old Testament history, interesting. But foster parenting makes that all come to life. One of my favorite quotes, that it's actually my first email that I keep in my emails. So if I go to email number 1, 10 or 12 pages in, I have a quote that I just have sitting there. It says, "It's not what you do, but how you do life." It's not what you do, but how you do life. Very few of you in this room are going to become Chick-fil-A owners. Very few of you in this room are going to become educators. Very few of you in this room are going to become doctors, lawyers, nurses, or whatever employment that it will be a possibility before you. But whatever you do, how you go about doing that is what Local Engagement Week is all about. How are you in your local environment, as an educator, teacher, doctor, lawyer, on and on and on, going to change the world? This week you've heard about how in the local environment you can change the lives of children with special needs through Special Olympics. You've heard about in our own local environments all over the country, in our cities and others, how human trafficking is a major problem, and how you may, coming and going, have interacted with people that have been trafficked here to the United States. During this time of year with Super Bowl weekend coming up, there's always several news stories about the tragedy of major sports events in the United States and human trafficking. If you haven't learned about it, you can Google it and watch Super Bowl human trafficking, and you're going to have your eyes open to how that kind of money, power, and everything else can also be used for very destructive ways. As I transition into my talk on the foster care world and our current realities here in Los Angeles County, realizing some of you are from the Phoenix area, Sacramento, San Francisco, Seattle, Portland, the reality I'm going to talk about today here in Los Angeles County is replicated all over the country, wherever you're from. But there is one special group of people here today that I want to recognize, because I know the world they're going into, because I've seen the people that have worked with our foster daughters. We have a Bachelor of Social Work program here at APU. Any of you out there? I think we have about 120. Many of our BSW students at APU will eventually be on the front lines of care for children who have no home, no family, and dire futures. However, the role these future social workers will play in the lives of these children will give hope and a future. Publicly, I want to thank all of you for choosing this major and intending a life that will realize our faith in tangible ways. Also publicly, and I did not get permission from my wife Jenny on this one, so I might get in trouble, but if any of you BSW students sometime this semester want to organize, contact me through Rukshan or someone else and have a dessert and discussion at our house. The dessert's on me. So contact me and let's talk about what it's like to be a professor at a university who also is a foster father. So you have your assignment there, all you BSW students in the room. How did I get to being a foster father? Well, it really is about a statue here on campus here at APU. And hopefully in a minute here, you'll see the statue coming up before you. How many of you have ever seen the statue on campus? How many of you have seen the statue and you don't know who this is? There we go. Who does know who this statue is? Who is it? John Wesley. John Wesley. About 20 years ago, I was at an event where somebody read a quote from John Wesley. That quote from John Wesley completely changed my whole passion for ministry and what I intended to do in graduate school. Here's what the quote said. Do I understand Greek and Hebrew? Otherwise, how can I undertake, as every minister does, not only to explain the books which are written therein, but to defend them against all opponents? Am I not at the mercy of everyone who does understand, or even pretends to understand the original? For which way can I confute his pretense? Do I understand the language of the Old Testament critically, at all? Can I read into English one of David's Psalms, or even the first chapter of Genesis? Do I understand the language of the New Testament? Am I a critical master of it? Have I enough of it even to read into English the first chapter of St. Luke? If not, how many years did I spend at school? How many at the university? And what was I doing all those years? Ought not shame to cover my face. Wow, that's a harsh quote. That's John Wesley, the statue that you can see walking in to our buildings here on West Campus, who said, knowing these languages is very important. And for me, in 1996, when I read that quote, that put me on a whole new course of action. The next year I was in Israel, I was studying Hebrew, learning Dead Sea Scrolls, and wonderful opportunities have opened up since then. But I imagine most of you, when you walk past the John Wesley statue, you won't be thinking Greek and Hebrew. But what do I want you to be thinking about when you see John Wesley's statue? Here's a few more quotes John Wesley said. Beware you be not swallowed up in books. An ounce of love is worth a pound of knowledge. Now, I'm not saying throw your syllabi away, okay? Get your homework done, do your work. But he said here, your love for those around you is much more important than how smart you are, how brilliant you are, what kind of credentials you might have. The next one, the Bible knows nothing of solitary religion. We are in community. This week we're focused on the local community. And finally, do all the good you can, by all the means you can, in all the ways you can, in all the places you can, at all the times you can, to all the people you can, as long as ever you can. We're not off the hook, people. When you walk past John Wesley, I want you to think of him saying, you have a responsibility for everybody around you. We are our brother's keeper. That's the reality we live in. Several years ago, fall of 2011, was our family's first experience with having a foster child. It was a Monday afternoon. I was actually at the stove cooking. The phone rang. I heard my wife Jenny talking, and I could realize this is the moment. The months and months of getting certified, having our house inspected, making sure carbon monoxide detectors, smoke detectors. We had to get rid of our dog. No, we didn't have a dog, but they even asked those questions, what kind of dog you have, how big, how small. I mean, we had to go through so many hoops to become certified as foster parents. So when that call came, we turned off the stove. Jenny, myself, and Zachary and Jeffrey, our, at that time, 4-year-old twins, jumped in the car and drove to Pomona. There's a DCFS office in Pomona, right there, kind of downtown Pomona area. And we walked in there, and when we walked in there, we saw a 12-year-old, an 8-year-old, and a 6-day-old. There is such desperate needs for foster families in Los Angeles County that they can't worry about this sibling set. Sometimes it just becomes dire. We need to find a home for each of these children, even if it means separation. So Jenny and I walked in, signed some paperwork, and an hour or so later walked out with a 6-day-old little one. We had her for 3 months. We got a call that December, a few months later, letting us know that they had found a home to bring all the siblings together, which is always ideal. But we had spent 3 months, late night feedings, all those kinds of things, so we'd started the bonding process. But seeing the smile on a 12-year-old little girl's face when she saw her 6-day-old sister, that for 3 months now had been separated from her, back together, made me say, this is what we should be about. I've joked with my parents a bit, because they've been empty nesters for many years, that maybe it's time as evangelicals we rebrand certain concepts. Empty nest and retirement means I can now host a lot of foster children in my home. Completely rebrand it and say that this is what we are going to be about. But that semester I was teaching a Hebrew prophets class. And one of the verses that just captured my attention that semester because of our involvement with the foster care world was Isaiah 1:17. Learn to do good, seek justice, rescue the oppressed, defend the orphan, plead for the widow. Isaiah 1:17. The book of James has a similar verse, James 1:27. Religion that is pure and undefiled before God the Father is this: to care for orphans and widows in their distress, and to keep oneself unstained by the world. Here we have an Old Testament verse and a New Testament verse that basically puts it right before us. Here's what you people need to be doing. That Hebrew prophets class was one because of our experience. I said, I can no longer do it as I've always done it. So the first day of class, I actually hired a drama student who was sitting in the back, was not a part of my class, but we had this all prearranged, that after I handed out the syllabus, we walked through mission statement this, course objective that, schedule that, all the stuff that we just kind of have to go through. The student stood up, threw a trash can across the room, screamed and yelled and said, I am so tired of going through this rote stuff when I just want to change the world. Isn't that what the prophets are about? Well, I had the students from that moment on. I had them. Because they were like, who is this crazy student? But I was trying to get the point across that we can go through life with needed things. We need to pay bills. We need to do taxes. We need to do all of these realities. We need to follow our syllabi. We need to do tests and exams. But our ultimate goal is that life change, like these verses in books like Isaiah and James are telling us about. So let me just give you some statistics about Los Angeles County. Los Angeles County is not only home to the largest foster care system in the state, but in the country as well. Every month, so we just started February, just think, this month of February, every month the Department of Children and Family Services in Los Angeles County receives 12,000 to 15,000 referrals of children who are alleged to have been abused or neglected. Divide 12,000 to 15,000 by 30 days in a month, and you start realizing the numbers we're talking about. Monthly, 7% of that number of these children, about 950, are taken into custody and placed in the foster care system. 900 divided by 30, we need lots of foster homes. There are currently 36,700 children in Los Angeles County in the foster care system. About half of those are with non-relative foster parents. About 18,000. These children have done nothing wrong. They are victims. They need caring, loving, and stable homes. Taking children away from biological families is devastating, and the need for permanent and secure homes for children is vital so that children could learn to trust in adults and experience a wholesome life. Bringing it to where you're at here with our last couple minutes, you are all college students here in this room, which is an amazing privilege. So let me just put up 2 slides to give you some statistics on emancipated foster youth. These are foster youth that hit the 18th birthday. They were never adopted. They never had a permanent home. And basically, they are given some stipend, and they go out into the world. Every year, as you can see here, it'll be up here in just a moment, you can see that Right now, about 3.3 million reports of violence against children happen annually. Right now, there are about 251,000 children placed in foster homes nationwide. 23,000 of these children nationwide will emancipate every year. 1 in 4 of them experience PTSD. 71% of them, for women, will be pregnant by 21. Less than 3% will earn a college degree. Only half will be employed at age 24, and 1 in 5 become homeless after the age of 18. One more statistic focused in on the Inland Empire here. Nationally, we have about 20,000 foster children that emancipate. 4,000 of those are here in California. That's 4,000 children that get to their 18th birthday. They've not been adopted. They don't have any real permanent, of which 700 of them are just in the Inland Empire here in Southern California. And if you see the statistics there, they're just staggering. That one statistic of less than 3% of emancipated foster youth, less than 3% of that 4,000 in the state of California that hit their 18th birthday and have not been adopted or in some kind of permanent place will ever graduate from college. We've got our work to do. We've got things that need to happen. After our first foster placement, about a month and a half went by, we got our second little one. We had her for just over 18 months, and it went all the way to adoption. It just worked out that we were able to adopt Mariah. It was a wonderful experience. She's definitely our ball of energy. But the whole goal at the beginning is that reunification. How can we redeem this whole situation? So you work with the birth families. You work with the birth fathers, birth mothers, and hopefully bringing it all together. But sometimes that's not possible. Our current little one we've had for about 2.5 years, and we still don't know what might happen. For our family, this has completely reoriented everything we do, from family vacations to Christmas, you name it. It's reoriented. But it's something we feel strongly called to here in our local environment. As we close, let's just read those verses again. Learn to do good, seek justice, rescue the oppressed, defend the orphan, plead for the widow. The 3 chapels this week, everyone's there somewhere. Oppressed, orphan, widow, people who are trafficked, people who have various disabilities. James 1:27, religion that is pure and undefiled before God the Father is this, to care for orphans and widows in their distress, and to keep oneself unstained by the world. I don't know where all of you may end up after graduation. Some of you may be moving back home to a different state. Wherever you go, there are problems there that your talents and your abilities can help solve. As I think of the craziness between now and November with the national election, I all of a sudden am focused in on Los Angeles County. Unbeknownst to probably most of you, we actually have a county supervisor seat in LA County in this area that's up for grabs, and that's the people who control the purse strings for the lives of these children. You know what? Donald Trump, Ted Cruz, Rubio, Clinton, they're going to do their thing. I'm concerned here locally on what are we going to do with our children. So I encourage all of you, fostering may not be for you. Helping trafficked children might be. Helping children with special needs might be. The list goes on and on. You're here at APU not to just get an education. You're here to catch a vision for how you are going to do what Isaiah and James have told us we're going to do. Let's pray. Dear Lord, we come to you today with hearts that are desirous to help the helpless, to give hope to the hopeless, and to give a foundation to people who don't have much foundation from family and from friends and from other support systems. I pray for everyone in this room that they will be just like our friend at Chick-fil-A who does not see his goal as just business, but sees his goal to be a servant leader to change the world. Thank you for everyone in this room, whether it be parents, students, or future students. We put our lives before you. For it's in your name I pray. Amen.